Hey, Gold friends, it's me, Adrian, or Ayden. Either way, I'm still your host, and you are still listening to Susto, the podcast of ooky, spooky, scary stories. Hello, welcome back. How are you? Nice to see you again. And if this is your first time, welcome. Thank you for being here. An official, cordial invite and welcome to the Susto fam. Right off the bat, I want to kick things off by thanking my patrons, as I'm, like I said last time, going to do at the beginning or during every episode from now on. This is a credit to you all. Today's episode is brought to you by my patrons, Brenda, Denise, Dottie, Anna, Desiree, Monica, Jeannie, Cami, Julie, Lori, Karen, Julianne, Mandy, Angela and Co, Sam, Josette, Victoria, Dee, Eva, Mario, April, Luther, Alejandra, Sadie, and Liza. God, one day I'm going to get that all in under one breath. But you know what? That makes me very excited that I have to do a deep in the middle of that list. So thank you all again for your continued support. Top tier patrons, you should be getting July's Susto mail. If you haven't gotten it already, it's been shipped out as of a couple days ago. Y'all are getting the new Get a Tomb sticker, which was based off of a little joke from the last Letters from the Beyond episode. I love those episodes. Sorry. I know that you all probably want me to bring you like fresh, new, unheard stories that are like super legendaric. But one of my favorite kinds of episodes that I've done so far are the Letters from the Beyond. So again, if you have any of your own scary stories, recordings, videos, photos, whatever it is, send them to me so I can share them either on the show or on the socials. That's at Susto Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Or you can email it to me to sustopodcast@gmail.com, or you can leave it in a 5-star review, and I'll collect them and post them in the next Letters from the Beyond. Again, it doesn't have to be the audio recording. It could be photo, video, and I will share them, like I said, on the socials. With that being said, I do have not really a submission. This is something that I came across, and I talked to the author, the person who shared this, about it, and they're allowing me to share part of it, but I will explain more about that after the story, after the context. So make sure you stick around for that because it is really good. And if you do follow along on the socials, you will see that I posted it on the Instagram story. I posted about it. So if you know, you know. If you don't, you will find out very soon. Either way, thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you to the patrons. That's patreon.com/SustoPodcast if you're interested. And we're going to go ahead and just jump right into today's episode, which is about El Paso High School. With the number of people who pass through them in their lifetime, and the high emotions in play, it's no wonder high schools are often considered havens of ghosts and other associated paranormal activity. High school is often one of the best times in a young person's life, as well as the worst, and the intensity of these often dueling feelings has a way of leaving an impression behind, whether you want to or not. So, what then does it take to be called one of the most haunted high schools in the United States? It would take more than just your average cold spots and strange noises to earn that coveted title, perhaps with some truly twisted and dark tales that boggle the mind and defy all explanations. It would take a building with a uniquely imposing visage. It would take countless dead bodies, mysterious missing classrooms, and tales of ghostly girls wandering the halls and reenacting their own gruesome deaths. It seems unlikely that any school like this could truly exist outside of a campfire story or a cheesy 80s horror movie, but just north of the border in the city of El Paso, Texas, one does. In the heart of El Paso High School, the unbelievable is to be believed, and the dead are every bit as restless as the living. Opened in 1916, El Paso High School has always been an undeniably beautiful, if imposing campus, nicknamed the Lady on the Hill for her position on a mountainside overlooking the city. El Paso High School bears a stunning silhouette that has made it a city landmark almost from day one. Unique in its inception for its Greco-Roman inspired architecture, El Paso High has always carried a distinct elegance that has set it apart from any other structure in the city. Also of note is Jones Stadium, seating 12,000 and bearing the distinction of being one of the first concrete stadiums in the US. From 1922 to 1923, the school's name was changed to Sam Houston High School at the behest of a local chapter of the Ku Klux Klan. But it was a short-lived change after community outrage rightfully swelled against the Klan. On November 17, 1980, El Paso High School officially became a registered historical landmark in the National Register of Historic Places. El Paso High remains to this day the oldest operating high school in the city of El Paso. Of course, with such a long, storied history of excellence and a campus this unique and imposing, there are bound to be a few dark tales here and there. But the sheer breadth of their oddity is what makes El Paso's history with the paranormal truly unique. Though encounters with the paranormal and the odd go almost as far back as the school itself, one particular part of its history that cannot be ignored was its time working as an overflow morgue during the World Wars. The school's immense and labyrinthine basement temporarily held bodies that were shipped into El Paso in the wake of the Spanish flu outbreak and combat deaths from World War II until the next of kin could be informed. If that weren't odd enough about the basement, there have been reports of faculty and students exploring the basements and discovering classrooms from the early 20th century in pristine condition, yet hastily blocked off, with no stated reasons given by the administration for their abandoned status. Odd as these anecdotes are, there are more distinctly supernatural tales of bizarre goings-on at El Paso High. Over the years, people have reported slamming doors and the sounds of spectral pep rallies and games going on in the school gym, only to discover the building completely empty on further inspection. One teacher told a story where, going home after a late night of work, he saw a girl in an old blue dress standing at the end of a hallway. Certain that she was not supposed to be there, he went to tell her to leave the school. When she turned to face him, she looked at him sadly, and only then could the teacher realize that she was as intangible as mist and faded away from existence. The sighting of ghost girls is a common occurrence at this school, with at least one being tied to a girl who died by suicide as a result of slitting her wrists and jumping to her death from a balcony within the school. Though the hallway and stairwell leading to it have since been walled off, more than one person has reported seeing a girl standing in that balcony, occasionally leaping from it to her doom. Those brave enough to have snuck into the blocked-off hallways have reported strange slime dripping from the ceiling and a light mist that pours through at least once a day, only to quickly evaporate. Another of the most famous El Paso High School ghost stories comes from a class picture taken of the 1985 graduating class. Mixed in among a row of teachers is a faded young woman in a white dress. Only a few people in the picture seem to notice her, and upon questioning, nobody in the photo claims to know who she was. Others have insisted that she was not in the original picture and has only faded in over time. Whatever the case, this young woman remains another of the strange, ghostly mysteries that El Paso High School has to offer. Regarded by many in El Paso as the most haunted building in town, which is saying something for a city most seem to regard as quite haunted, El Paso High School is a must-see site for any supernatural aficionado. Though access isn't easy, as it is still an operating high school with its own rules and regulations for visitors, it is definitely a beautiful sight from the outside and worth a visit if just to take in its unique look. Just remember, if you pass by the gym and hear a game while no one's around, there might be more going on than meets the eye. Okay, so one of the first things that I want to, I guess, address for this story or these stories is the ghost girl in the picture. So something that I saw or that I read when I was looking up or researching this episode was that someone mentioned that this picture is from 1985, so this is before Photoshop, and so that person, I guess, was using that as a justification or maybe as a form of proof that, oh, Photoshop didn't exist then, so this picture has to be a real paranormal phenomena. It can't be faked. But I mean, even since the, I want to say 20s, 30s, doctoring photos has always been a thing. People have always been able to fake photos or alter an image. So I understand what that person was trying to say, but Photoshop was not always the only way to alter an image. So it could still have been faked. And as with other stories, I try to approach with, at least a little bit of skepticism. But some of these pictures, even that one picture that they're talking about, it's very, I would say it's convincing. And if it's a Photoshop job or if not Photoshop, because this is from 85, if it's a doctored photo for whatever technology they had available then, I think it's pretty convincing. And I think it's a good job if it is a fake, but if it's not, I mean, it's just as creepy. First off, I want to say the website that I read that from is from a website called hauntedrooms.com. I would suggest that you check out this website. They do haunted ghost tours or haunted experiences that you can book, and I guess you can search by city. And I will say I've done these sort of haunted tours before, I think with a different company. I love them. They're so much fun. The ones that I've done, they've been haunted pub crawls. So we'll go to a historical place. A lot of it is history too. So we'll go to a place, they tell us the history, and then they throw in, this is why it's haunted kind of thing. But it's fun because I get to drink, I get to hear scary stories. I love it. What what more could I want? That's literally my brand. So the direct link for this one and for all of the sources that I use, of course, are going to be on the Susto Google Docs, on the patreon.com/Susto podcast. That was the first thing that I wanted to kind of talk about. Another thing is this one piece didn't directly insinuate that the young woman who died by suicide in the school was also the quote unquote ghost girl, but another page did reference that. And so the other page that I'm looking at here, it's from kisselpaso.com. It's their 93.1 radio station on Kiss FM. It says Ghost Girl's back, another hair-raising photo captured at EPHS at Paso High School. So this says, Ghost Girl is back, making a hair-raising appearance in another picture captured at El Paso High School. I want to know what her name is because I feel bad just calling her Ghost Girl. But yeah, this one says, no one knows who she is and her identity remains a mystery to this day. But I want to know who the girl is that died by suicide, because then maybe we could say that that's her, right? Either way, this says, according to the school's haunted lore, in 1922, a teenage girl committed suicide, again, by slitting her wrists and throwing herself off one of the school's balconies. After the tragic incident, the school received several reports of this ghostly image, so they decided to build a wall that blocked the haunted hallway completely. But by the looks of it, the wall did nothing to deter the ghostly apparition. So if she's the ghost in the picture that was taken in 1985, that means this is the same spirit of that young woman from 1922. And that's pretty sad if you had me. Again, I'm going to be posting all of these pictures that I'm talking about on the socials. That's at Susto Podcast on every platform. So you'll see them there. Okay, so this is introducing the new pictures that they're talking about. And this whole piece, this article is by Monica. It's published June 22, 2021. So just past exactly a year ago is when they posted this. And so again, this is showing the new photos, and it says, first up was a photo sent in by the current gold coach at El Paso High School, taken when kids hung out after school near the principal's office, when the staff was already gone for the day. The face looking out the window seems eerily similar to that of the ghostly apparition in the El Paso High School 1985 yearbook. So this one, you can definitely, I mean, they have an arrow here pointing it out too, but you can definitely see that looks like something. It looks like a silhouette of a person. It looks like a face. This photo was very obviously taken in the daytime, so they say that no one was there, but anyone who's been to high school, I mean, you know that people stay at the high school late for whatever reason, whether it's extracurricular activities or people are working or volunteering, whatever. But I'm going to take their word for it and trust that there was no one in that entire school and it was empty. And honestly, if this was a real person, it doesn't look like a real person. You know what I mean? If people were in the school at the time, this still doesn't look like a real person. It's creepy. So honestly, if you're listening to this, I'm going to try really hard to post this super early, the morning the episode goes out, so you can go to the socials and look at these pictures as I'm looking through them. So this is the one with the yellow arrow on it. This next entry says, the second photo taken earlier last month, so May of 2021, was sent in by a listener, and it features a local El Paso High School student posing in front of the school. But if you look closely, the image in the bottom mid-right also looks hauntingly like Ghost Girl. I can see it. There's definitely something in that window. Yeah, and it looks like someone wearing something white. So it could be Ghost Girl in white, right? Creepy. This next one says, and now a new photo sent in by another listener of a graduation photo taken at El Paso High School about 10 years ago. Okay, so the photo is new to the station, but the photo was taken 10 years ago, which is 2011. I'm good at math. This says, about 10 years ago, shows the creepy image of Ghost Girl in the right window next to the gentleman in the short sleeve green shirt. I can kind of see something there, but more than anything in this picture, I see a bunch of what some people would call orbs, which if you don't know, orbs are just like globes, or in a picture, they look like circles of like light. And some people say those are spirits. And this picture is just covered with them. But this was taken outside at night. So this could be the flash bouncing off of dirt in the air. If it was drizzling, it could be that. Or if like the lens was wet or the lens was dirty, something, there's other explanations for orbs, especially if you're in an outdoor environment. It could be anything. But what else does it say? It says below. Okay, so here's a zoomed in photo of her looking out. This says she has her head tilted back, her mouth agape, wearing a white dress as if she too was posing for the photo. You better work, Ghost Girl. Okay, I can see where they're saying that there's someone in the window, but honestly, this barely looks like the silhouette of a person, so I don't know where they're getting all this detail from. Like her head's thrown back, her mouth is open. Like if she's one of those women with a salad or a cup of yogurt in those like typical shitty campaigns. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those like Jamie Lee Curtis with her Activia, just like head thrown back laughing. That's what they're saying she's doing. She's having an Activia in the window. No, I would be more interested in like the orbs in this photo than what they're claiming to be the Ghost Girl here. But again, it does look like the silhouette of a person. I can see it, so I'm being such a skeptic this episode. I don't know what it is. I'm just feeling very skeptical. Cut to like as soon as the sun goes down, I'm scared of everything, right? Okay, this says this photo also has a ton of orbs floating around. Some may be due to the flash used, and perhaps her lens was dirty. Boom, exactly what I said. But despite all that, folks are seeing more than Ghost Girl in this picture, confirming a hotbed of paranormal activity at the school. Yes, the school is, I would say, it has a very high chance of being very haunted. El Paso is, like I said, one of those cities that has tons of history tied to it. And as we've said before, and as I feel the piece that I read as a story kind of validates, where there is a lot of history, there's a lot of trauma. Where there's a lot of trauma, there are a lot of imprints. And that's how this story started when I read it. It feels very validating to see other people saying the same like sentiment that I have noticed. So we're going to go to the next link. This one is also from Kiss FM on kisselpaso.com. It says, Ghost Girl isn't the only one to haunt the halls of El Paso High. Ghost Girl is probably the most talked about entity at El Paso High School, but the school is also home to other resident ghosts, including a poltergeist. Scary. Okay, there's a picture of the school here, and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I'll probably post this one as the cover because wow, what a picture, what a school. Okay, so this entry seems to be from someone who it's also from this Monica person, and this is posted October 19th, 2021. So we're approaching a year ago from when this was posted. She wrote, I graduated from El Paso High School, and that building has a special place in my heart, but the truth is that the school is genuinely haunted. Throughout my 4 years at El Paso High, my friends and I would avoid walking the halls alone, especially the third floor, the auditorium, and the old gym by the stadium because of the eerie vibes we'd get roaming the school. I get that 100%. There is something about walking through an empty school that just feels off. It feels wrong. Maybe it's because we're used to that being a space where we are surrounded by people. And so when we're not and we're walking through it alone, it just feels big. Oh my God. Okay. I also just had another memory. So at my high school, there was there was 4 buildings. There was our main campus, there was the theater arts building, there was the vocational classes building, and then there was the computer technology building. Computer technology building was one of the newer ones, and it was separate from the main campus. And it was one of those buildings that's just a long hallway with classrooms on either side and offices on either side. It's just a long hallway. There was this story that started spreading like wildfire because apparently the story was that one of the janitors was in that building when it was empty, and they were in the ladies' room, and they saw someone in there, and that this person turned around to face the janitor who was in there, and the person didn't have a face. Like they just, it was like a full body apparition, but they just didn't have a face. So of course the janitor freaks out and runs and just leaves, and I don't know who they told. And I wish I was as curious then as I am now about the paranormal, because if I was, I would have tried to find that person and been like, you need to tell me everything you saw and I need to record it to put it on my podcast in the future called Susto, because yeah, I wish I could get that person's first person account. You know what I mean? And if you all have ever experienced something like that in a school, especially, I don't know what it is, something about kids and schools are just extra creepy. But if you've ever experienced something paranormal in a school, or if you've seen something, or you heard something, or you know of someone, whatever, let me know. Please send it to me. I want to know. Okay, let me continue with this after that tangent. So this says, I recall coming across a misty fog near the mini library adjacent to the main library, seeing shadowy figures and hearing noises and voices down hallways when no one was around. Needless to say, visiting the bathroom alone was an absolute no-no. Yeah, definitely sounds like a big fuck no for me too. This says, spine-chilling accounts include lights switching on and off, apparitions walking up and down the hallways, sounds of rallies coming from the auditorium, and many more paranormal activities occurring at the old gym and tunnels at the school. Tunnels? No. You thought walking around going to the restroom was a no? Tunnels? Absolutely not. What kind of tunnels? Were they secret? This is a century-old building. Tunnels in a century-old building is just bad news. Sorry. Okay, this continues. There have also been reports of slime. Okay, yeah, we heard about that on the walls and mists, just like I saw that one day in the library. Okay, there's even photographic evidence of a ghost that appeared, okay, referencing Ghost Girl from 1985. Yeah, here she is in the same picture. Okay, this is the one that tied it to her. So the suicide to her. It says, according to the school's haunted lore, in 1922, a teenage girl committed suicide. And this says, not only have students reportedly seen someone near the new blocked off hallway and stairwell that leads to the balcony, but over the years have claimed to see someone walk through the hallway onto the balcony and take a leap only to see her disappear. Ghost Girl is just one of the most active ghosts at the school and is usually photographed standing or looking out the windows of the 100-plus-year-old high school. Wow. Okay. So yeah, they're saying that Ghost Girl is also the girl from 1922 that died by suicide. This says, if the class photo of Ghost Girl doesn't give you goosebumps, then let me tell you about the poltergeist that roams the old gym. Tell us. Okay, so this says, if you saw the movie Glory Road, then you're familiar with the old gym at EPHS. The story goes that a few students and their coach back in the 80s started basketball practice around 6 p.m. when soon after 2 heavy access doors violently opened. Thinking that the wind had somehow caused the disturbance, they dragged a wooden bench over to keep it closed. The heavy bench flew across the room a few minutes later, and the doors slammed wide open once again. The group ran out as fast as they could and never looked back. This next entry from this piece, this freaked me out. It's a very short detail, but it's weird. I'll just read it to you and I'll explain why. It says, during the auditorium's remodel, workers removed the steps leading to the stage and discovered an entire Catholic encyclopedia set hidden beneath the steps. Why and who put it there? nobody knows. I've already spoken about in the episode with Flavia Sidrago. You all should listen to that. It's a great interview. We talk about the idea of Catholicism being inherently paranormal and mystical, metaphysical, kind of gothic horror vibes. There's just something about the Catholic religion and the way that it's practiced and the way that it is documented that is very, very, I mean, religion itself, it's paranormal, specifically, again, because I grew up Catholic, that is very, very metaphysical and mystical. And so I'm just wondering, why the hell would they put an entire Catholic encyclopedia set under a set of stairs? To me, it sounds as if some sort of protective barrier was set up. What were they trying to keep in or out? What happened when they removed the set? It's just a lot of unanswered questions for a very short detail. So again, as referenced in the story, there was also the morgue, which that alone is just bad news. This says that the morgue housed near the school's tunnels is also the site of many shadow entities, knocks, bangs, and unexplainable sounds and cries. No thank you. The sealed classrooms was something, though, that I was very interested in, because it's one thing to think, well, we don't have use for these classes anymore. Maybe enrollment has gone down, or with the opening of other schools, there's no need for this much space. Maybe they just decided, well, these are the classes that are on the outskirts. They're furthest away. We won't need them. So we'll seal them off. But this one detail weirded me out. It says, during a heavy snowstorm, a few teachers and students arrived before the school's closure announcement. Alone in the building, the group decided to explore the school, starting with the tunnels in the basement. See, tunnels in the basement, not a good idea. They soon discovered sealed off classrooms with their contents perfectly preserved inside, including students' belongings. To this day, no one knows why the classrooms were closed off in such haste, but it's evident that they wanted to keep something from escaping. The detail of students' belongings still being there, I think, is what freaks me out the most, because, like I said, it would be one thing if they made the decision, we no longer need the space, we'll close it off. But it sounds as though people's stuff was abandoned there. And I'm wondering, what reason would you have to leave so fast that you just left stuff there and never returned for it, and it just got sealed into this part of the school? This piece expanded also on the girl in the blue dress. So this one says, according to the journalism instructor, he and his students worked late on the yearbook one night when they finally called it quits nearly at midnight. Okay, I appreciate the dedication, but I feel like, I mean, me alone, but also my parents would have probably thought, what the hell are you doing at school close to midnight? Come home. But again, dedication. I love it. This says, as the group was exiting the building, the teacher saw someone down the dark hallway. They report that they saw a young lady wearing a blue chiffon prom dress from the 40s or 50s standing by the exit sign. Okay, fashion. It says, assuming it was a student, the teacher waited as the girl approached his direction. Whereas in the story that I read, it says that the teacher went up to the student, but in this one, she's approaching him. It says, as she drew closer, the girl in the blue chiffon dress began to become transparent, and he noticed that she was not standing on the floor, but rather hovering mid-air, only to disappear into the shadows. I mean, if he's the yearbook teacher, why didn't he take a picture, you know? I'm kidding. I wish we could see her too. So the final item that I'm going to read from here talks about the auditorium. It says, the school's auditorium is also one of the most haunted areas, as pep rallies have been heard in the dead of night when no one is around by students and staff over the years. Custodians even refuse to work after sundown because of all the bizarre occurrences that happen after hours. See, that's the thing. If the people who work there, the people who are there more often than anybody else, if they are afraid to be in a space with that building alone, like a whole team, then guess what? I'm not going to spend time in there either. It's like when you're on a plane. You don't freak out, you don't panic, you don't worry unless you see the flight attendants doing that. When I fly, and if I get nervous for whatever reason, I look at the flight attendants. If they're cool and they're fine, I'm like, great, then I'm cool and I'm fine. I don't have to worry anymore. It's the same thing with this. If I see people working in a space, avoiding an area, I'm going to say, guess what? I'm going to avoid that area because they know something that apparently I don't, and I don't want to find out. So good for them. Okay, so I did want to talk to you all about this thing that I came across online. I shared it on the Instagram story, I think. I'm going to read, this person posted in a Facebook group that I'm in. They wrote, does or has anyone ever gotten a creepy call from witches witches, aka the maestros, talking about sending them money or they will put witchcraft on you. I had it happen to me last year, and now this year it started again. I blocked the numbers, but I would like to know how these people even call you and know your info. So I talked to this person, and they posted the video for a while for me to view it, and I didn't save it. I meant to save it, but I got caught up in the evening, and then after watching that, it had me like super discombobulated. So I'm gonna reach out again to them to see if I can get it, and if I do, then I'll insert the audio here.
Escuchaste, mi hermana, para que ahora mismo te comuniques conmigo y tratemos de arreglar todo esto. Yo traté muy fácilmente de hacer de que esta persona se retirara de ti, pero tú no aceptaste. Y ahora mismo te entrego ante la Santísima Muerte.
Esta vela va a representar tu corazón, señora Lisa. Y en el momento que yo apague esta mismísima vela, tu corazón ha de dejar de latir. Entonces evítate problemas y dolores de cabeza y hazte responsable de lo que quedaste con los maestros.
Hey y'all, this is Ayden. While I'm editing this, so my mic isn't set up, so I'm going to sound really different right now, but I really quick just wanted to jump in because I just inserted a clip of the audio. The entire audio or the entire video is actually 2 minutes long, and I didn't want to play the entire thing for the same reasons that I didn't want to show the video itself. So again, the clip itself is a couple of seconds of the entire video, and again, I'm respecting this person's wishes who shared it with me, so I'm not sharing the video at all, and I'm taking it a step further, and I'm only sharing a very small clip of the video's audio. That video was really, really fucking scary, y'all. I watched it and I just felt so ugly. I felt icky and it freaked me out. It was scary. I've heard of these scams of people messaging other people trying to get their money for a quote unquote reading, but the people that will message you out of the blue and say, "Grand Rising, beloved, Spirit has a message for you. Would you like to receive it? $100, some bullshit like that. I'll just say this. Every person that I know that does spiritual work has posted at one time or has to continually post that they do not reach out to other people to offer readings, that their services are based on people going to them, not the other way around. You know what I mean? So just pro tip in the future, if you ever see that, never send your money to someone who's asking you for your money for a reading. Yes, people will promote on their own pages and whatnot, but if someone's messaging you directly, more likely than not, it's a scam. But what I am saying is I have never, ever, and that's why it freaked me out, I've never seen something like this. Whether or not the brujeria that they're claiming to do in this video was real, at the end of the day, it's wrong because it's a scam. They're trying to get money out of somebody. But the video itself, y'all, like I said, it really freaked me out. And again, I have permission to talk about this. They were telling this person that if she did not send them money, that they were basically launching spiritual warfare against her, and that they were going to attach the spirit of a dead person to her to haunt her and to mess with her, and that if she did not pay them by the time the candle completely burned out, that she was going to die. And in this video, they had her name written on an altar, and they had a picture of her. And the picture was covered in like wax and stuff, and they burnt her picture over what looked like a skeleton. Again, whether or not it was real, I'm not exactly sure. It looked like bones. It looked like real bones. But again, it could just be all for show, and they're just trying to scam this person out of their money and scare them into giving them their money. Or it's real, and they're trying to scam this person out of their money and scare them into giving their money. But when I was talking to this person, she told me that video was from a year ago. And so she's now thinking, well, I mean, obviously I'm fine because the candle would have burned out by now, right? It was funny. We kind of joked about it. I was like, well, it must have been a cheap candle, right? And so she laughed about that too. It's just, yeah, it's scary. And it's like I've always said, I am more scared of the living than I am of the dead. And for someone to be able to pull something like that against someone else, again, whether the witchcraft is real or not, it's so fucked up to try and scare someone like that, to scare someone into submission. Just be careful of the information that you put out there, because it's very easy to get other people's information off of the internet, off of social media profiles. I know with Facebook, you can get so far as an email and a phone number, and that's all you really need to do a full-on background check. Granted, sometimes you have to pay for them, but you don't know what lengths people are willing to go through to take advantage of or hurt other people. So as I always say, get your protections up, right? Like, part of me wishes y'all could see it so you can see just how scary that is, but it also just sounds really unsettling and I hated it. Okay, well, after that, though, I definitely need a limpia. Thankfully, I was wearing some protection, but yeah, I'm definitely going to do a little bit more of a cleanse after I had to hear that. It was just horrifying, and just be careful out there, y'all. Okay, thank you so much once again for listening. Thank you again so much to my patrons. That's patreon.com/Susto podcast if you want to check out any of the perks. Y'all, I'm looking forward to producing more Susto specific content, to producing more Susto merch. I recently closed my personal Etsy shop. It was a sticker shop. I was making stickers and other handmade goods, and I've thankfully reached a point where I don't need to have that open anymore. I would rather spend that time and energy and those resources into projects for Susto. You might have already seen, like I referenced earlier, the Get a Tomb stickers. Those are going for $3. If anyone is interested, please let me know. Please hit me up. Any of the Susto stickers, they're all $3. So just reach out to me if you would like one. Let me know. I also have pins for sale. I'm also going to be doing more koozies. And if you are a best school friend on Patreon, then you get all of the Susto merch for free. So just another little perk to have. But yeah, go ahead and check that stuff out. Hit me up if you want any of that. I look forward to making more of it, and I look forward to making more digital content. I'm very excited to start experimenting with video again. So keep an eye peeled on that on all of the social medias at Susto Podcast. I will leave you with that. Y'all have a good day, and don't be late to class, okay? Bye.